Welcome to Simplify Rational Expressions. What we're going to do in this lesson is basically kind of work on how to simplify rational expressions. And we're going to start off that with a nice little warm-up to kind of get us kind of remembering the rules of exponents as well as the division property. So in this example here, we're just going to work on some basic expressions and simplify rational expressions using the rules of exponents. So I'm not going to go through the rules of exponents, but I will just kind of work my way through them as we kind of get along to the problem. So the basic thing here is just to remember that, when we're simplifying these, we're going to try to treat the numbers here differently with the variables. So if I have 3 over 6, I can obviously see that I can divide a 3 from the numerator and the denominator. So that can simplify to 1/2. Right? Because you divide 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now, as far as dividing variables or exponents here, remember that the rules of exponents state that when you have the division of these properties, you are going to subtract the powers. So x equals 2 minus 4, which equals x squared. So therefore, this simplifies now to x squared. Now, but we got to be careful here. 2 minus 4, is a x equals to the negative power. So remember that the rules of exponents here, that the other rule that we need to remember is that negative powers, we rewrite that in the denominator. Okay, so you can see that this one is going to be rewritten. Now let's just write this as times 1 over x squared. And then we can write that as 1 over 2 x squared. And you could do this a little bit quicker. I'm just kind of working my way through these, and working with the numbers and then multiplying by the variables. On this next one, you can see that while they have a common factor of 2, you could divide the top into the bottom by 2. You could also see that the 2 really divides into that 12, leaving us with a 6. Now, one of the question comes into, where is this in the numerator or is it in the denominator? Well, again, if you kind of divide the top and the bottom by 2, what you would get is 6 over 1, which really just develops into 6, but it's important to understand that 6 is in the numerator and we have a 1 in the denominator. Even though the answer reduces to 6, we just want to make sure we keep that in there. Now, in this example, it doesn't really matter as much where it's in the numerator and denominator, because when we have a variable or an exponent divided by the same exponent, again, using these rules of exponents, we're going to subtract the powers, which gives us x to the 0 power, which then gives us 1. So therefore, that's going to reduce down to 1. So our final answer is going to be a 6. In the next example here, we have 4 over 6. Now, in this example here, we can divide the top and bottom by 2. And by doing that, I don't know why I'm writing that 2, you can see that that is going to reduce, divide, 4 and 6 both can be divided by 2. So therefore, this is going to be 2/3. And then using the rules of exponents for x to the 7th, divided by x to the 5th, it's just going to give us x squared. Now, again, that's positive. So when the important thing is to understand that that is really a x to the 7th over 1. So our final answer is going to be 2x to the 7th over 3. Okay? So the main important thing, the next thing I really want to kind of discuss here is, we use the rules of exponents, but we're not really going to be using them for the simplifying rational expressions that we're going to be working on. The main thing that we're going to want to remember, or at least understand, is the division property. And this division property did come up in the selected problem, but basically the division property states whenever you have a number divided by itself, or a term divided by itself, or an expression divided by itself, it's going to equal 1. So, for example, when I have 3 divided by 3, that equals 1. If I had 3x divided by 3x, that equals 1. If I have x plus 3 divided by x plus 3, that all divides by 1. So that's basically what the division property is stating. So you can see here why x cubed divided by x cubed, why that went to 1. Now, we use the rules of exponents to explain that, but you could also use the division property just to say that that is going to be to 1. Another way you could look at this also, you could rewrite 12 as 2 times 6 over 2. And you can see here that the 2's divide out to equal 1. So it's really 1. So that's equal to 1 times 6, which is just equal to 6. So it's another way of just kind of rewriting this. Rather than thinking about this as division, we could also think about this using the division property. And that's really kind of the basis that's going to help us. Understanding this division property is what's going to help us when we go ahead and get to the following rational expressions. And the only other thing I wanted to mention with this is notice that we're treating the numbers separately with the variables, and that's going to be, helpful here when we have these expressions. So we're going to be simplifying the numbers just like we would simplify, not fractions, and then we're going to be simplifying the variable expressions, which you can see here are a little bit more complicated than our warm-up. So let's go ahead and get started and kind of see the process for that.